Welcome back to Court TV Live, along with Julie Janae. I'm Ted Rollins. Good to be with you on this Monday as we kick off another busy week here at Court TV. We're going to switch gears this hour. Our science lesson is over for now out of Florida. It was compelling testimony. We'll continue to monitor Stearns, but a bit tedious.
A little bit with the expert on the stand, though she was giving a good lesson. But we are going to take you to Ohio, where an 18-year-old Amish man is accused of raping and killing a woman that he worked with and lived with on a compound.
Samuel Hochstetler, there he is accused of kidnapping, raping, and asphyxiating a 28-year-old woman by the name of Rosanna Kinsinger. Back in March of this year, prosecutors say that Hochstetler confessed to laying a sheet over her head while the two were having sex, but says that he never forced himself on her and that she let him inside of her room.
Yeah, this was a really weird case in terms of how police had to interrogate him. He didn't understand some of the words that they used and understood in terms of legal definitions of rape. But before we get you into court, let's take a look back at the case. We have a backgrounder for you.
18-year-old Samuel Hochstetler is facing a host of criminal charges, including murder and the death of Rosanna Kinsinger. The two worked on this farm near Rutland, Ohio. When Rosanna didn't show up one morning in March of 2025, she was discovered in her bedroom, dead. Investigators believe she was murdered. The news rocked her small Amish community.
All rise, please.
Police say Hochstetler admitted to killing Kinsinger one night while he was having sex with her.
You killed Rosanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Explain to me how you did it.
Yeah. Actually, like cover sheet, or you know what that is, like what you use when it's cold to cover up over the bed.
Yes.
Laid it over, like right over your bed.
Why'd you do that?
I guess I wasn't feeling the way I should have.
According to police, Hochstetler told them he didn't force himself on Kinsinger and that she let him into her bedroom. Court documents reveal that Kinsinger, 28 years old, died as a result of positional asphyxia, and injuries to her body, quote, indicate that force was applied to her body that caused her to asphyxiate. Those findings have led the prosecutor to charge Hochstetler with rape, kidnapping, and murder.
Mr. Hochstetler, you understand what you're charged with, correct?
Samuel Hochstetler has pled not guilty. If he is convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. All right, let's watch this preliminary hearing. This is the part of the process where you really do learn a lot about the state's case because they're presenting enough to get over the hump to go on to trial. So let's go in. We're going to hear from a lieutenant who interviewed the defendant.
So after you've gone through the Miranda waiver and the waiver of his rights, and witnesses or observed him signing or placing his name on that waiver of rights, did you have any concerns that he did not understand what his rights were?
I did not.
Did you believe that he wanted to give you a statement?
I did.
Continue playing later.
I usually ask him all good. You said that you didn't feel good when it happened.
Yeah.
Can you explain it to me that?
I guess in the past I've lost about 6. Which it happened down pretty bad.
Yes.
And not to use that as an excuse to do something like that. And when I did, I wasn't going to go as far as I did.
Okay. What is it that you did?
I was actually doing it. Yeah.
Tell me.
Doing what I did.
You did what?
Did to
I need you to tell me. But that's the only way you can be forgiven through there.
one actually finished her off Rosanna.
You killed Rosanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Explain to me how you did it.
Yeah. Actually, not like cover sheet, or you know what that is. Like what you use when it's cold to cover up under the bed.
Yes, sir.
I laid it over, like right over her head.
Why'd you do that?
I guess I wasn't feeling the way I should have.
What was the motivation behind it?
What made you want to do it? What made me want to do it? Yeah. I guess that I wasn't in my right mind. I didn't know that.
Okay.
All right. I mean, now looking back, yeah, I definitely wouldn't do it again. But, I mean,
Did you attempt to breed? Was it ever breeding? Was it ever breeding?
like,
Were you a breeder? Were you trying to breed her?
well, basically, yeah, something like that.
Did it happen at night?
Yeah.
Okay. Between, about what time do you remember that?
Well, I don't know didn't look at what time it was or anything, but it was in the evening.
Okay.
Was it dark out?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody else kind of went to bed? Like,
Yeah.
And then you sneak out of Moses' house?
Yeah.
Okay. Does Moses know about this?
I don't know anything.
Is there anybody in the Amish community know that you killed her?
Not that I know.
Okay. So,
how did it kind of play out? Did Rosanna invite you over, or did you just kind of,
No, she hadn't.
you just kind of went in and,
When I knocked on the door, she would know she welcomed me in.
did you guys have a secret relationship?
Like,
were you guys secretly
Boyfriend and girlfriend?
no,
No. Okay. Was this something that you forced upon her?
like,
Did she tell you no? No. Okay.
she was just silent.
Okay. Have you done this to anybody else? Okay. I want you to know I do appreciate you being honest and upfront. I think it's,
I really, yeah, I do know I lied the first time.
yes, but we can get through that. That's the only way that God's going to forgive you. I can promise you that being upfront and honest with it is a lot better than holding it in and us having to come find you later down the road. You know what I mean?
Okay, so at this point, and even a few minutes earlier, when you started to read him his Miranda rights again, had his custodial status changed at that time?
It had not.
He was not in custody?
He was not.
He was not under arrest?
He was not.
And what was your reasoning behind that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I wasn't normal that day.
I understand.
Basically.
I know do you understand sex, the word sex?
I don't.
But you said breeding, right?
Yes.
Which was when you would impregnate, what impregnate means.
I think I do anyway. Like,
And I would assume your goal would be not to impregnate her. Was that the goal? So when you were attempting to, we'll call it breeding.
yes.
When we do, in the English terms, if you know what rape means. So if she would be unwilling
Yes.
to breed and you forced the breeding upon her, that would be rape. In our world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So was she unwilling to?
She didn't say anything, didn't tear away or anything like that.
Okay. But you said, what did you use? You suffocated her, correct?
Basically, that's what I think it was, yeah.
Okay. And what happened?
It was done when I realized it actually happened. I didn't. If I'd been in my right mind, I'd thought that, but I didn't think of it at the time when I did, that's what could happen.
Okay. And what did you use to suffocate her with? You said like a sheet.
It's I call it a blanket, but I'm not sure is that what you call it or not.
Okay. A blanket. Yeah.
Like a cover,
Mhm.
yeah.
And was that a blanket that was on her bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. What he's going to do is he's going to collect a swab, which would be your DNA, inside your mouth. He's going to take, you know what a Q-tip is?
Yeah.
It's basically just a one-time probably do 6 times on one side, 6 times on the other, and then he's going to place it in that bag. And that's what's going on for us. tremendously. You said that happened at night. So, what time did Enos find her? Moses found her? Okay, and that was the evening after?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it was I think it was a day. Pretty sure it was that next evening. Yeah.
Okay. So just to confirm, you snuck out of Moses' house, and then went over to Rosanna's trailer, and then you knocked on the door, and she let you in. And did you go straight to the bedroom?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you guys began the breeding process, and then you suffocated her with the blanket. So yes. And then did you know she was dead before you left the trailer?
Yes.
You did? Okay. So she wasn't breathing at that time, correct?
All right, you said.
She wasn't alive?
No.
And haven't you told anybody else this? Okay.
What did you do after? We'll just go back and Moses.
First, when I noticed that I went out and I just couldn't barely walk anymore. When I noticed that's what happened. I went out behind the greenhouses. I just went on my knees and prayed. And then I think it was like, I don't know exactly what time it was, but it didn't seem like it was long until it was time to get back up to the work next morning.
Yeah. And then you just went to work the next morning?
Yeah.
Did you go back to sleep that night? And that was just I think we talked about the reasoning behind it. Was that just something you wanted to do? Or was that, was that something like, to go over there, was that something normal for you to do, to go over to her trailer?
Not usually, no.
Okay. Listening to this interview, it's interesting to go back and forth. He's coming from this Amish perspective, and they're trying to translate between, sex and breeding, I guess.
I think the defense is going to have a field day, though, with this confession overall, because there was that line that the police used, that this is the only way God's going to forgive you for your sins. And if he's coming from the background, like pseudo-clergy, there's a privilege there if it attaches.
Yeah, well, and they want that out. They want all this out before trial. Let's get a break. We'll hear more from this Amish young man talking about how he killed a woman after, as he called it, breeding. Stay with us.
This week, we're spotlighting the biggest cases that are trending in true crime. Plus, we're being a voice for victims as October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
We're going to head back to court in just a minute, but first here's a quick look at some of the other cases we are tracking here on this Monday at Court TV.
We're in Florida, where the state's case continues for an Army vet accused of fatally shooting his girlfriend. But Daniel Stearns, the defendant here, says he shot in self-defense.
Also in Florida, convicted killer Jose Soto Escalara back in court today for a sentencing hearing after a jury recommended that he be sent off to Florida's death row for killing his mistress and their unborn child.
And in California, opening statements are expected to begin tomorrow for a mother accused of leaving her 2 young children in a hot car, killing one of them while she was getting lip filler injections.
And in Ohio, another live trial getting underway tomorrow. This one is for a woman accused of fatally stabbing a 3-year-old and injuring his mother. Random attack outside of a grocery store parking lot.
We'll keep you updated on all of these trials throughout the day. For now, let's head back to Ohio, where we are watching the sex and murder in Amish Country case for Samuel Hochstetler. Basically, this is a preliminary hearing, and we're listening to portions of the defendant's interview. He's describing having sex with the victim, but he uses the word breeding, and police have to continually make sure he understands English words words versus words that he uses in his culture. Let's pick it up where we left off.
You know what intent means? Yeah, intentions. You know your intentions.
Like,
when you showed up there at Rosanna's house, was your plan is like your plan? Was your plan to breed her?
basically, yeah.
And then she died in the process of you breeding her.
Yeah.
Okay. And did we clear up that was something that did she know that was going to happen?
Yeah, I said it, yeah.
She did know it was going to happen?
Yeah.
And did she was okay with it?
She didn't say anything.
Okay.
She actually laid herself down on the bed.
Okay. So your intention when you showed up was to breed, correct?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Okay. And did you, when you had the blanket, or you call it a blanket, correct?
Yeah, like what you call a tent cover your, yeah.
That was the item that ultimately killed her.
Yeah, like I had it over her head.
And have you talked to Enos about any of this? Have you talked to Moses about any of this?
No.
And that's hang on the Bible. Haven't talked to anybody about it.
No, what was that?
You haven't spoken to anybody. That's not a lot, correct? No one else knows about this.
Not except you. Well, I guess, yeah, somebody else does got those.
Was there a reason you put the blanket over her face?
Mostly I just put it on, like, first she kind of just closed her eyes and then I just put it on her and I didn't think what could happen, like, and she didn't move.
Right.
Which I put it there, she probably didn't. I kind of put it on her, she was closing her eyes, I thought she probably didn't want to look.
Why do you think she closed her eyes?
Well, I kind of figured she didn't want to look, see what all I'm doing or stuff like that is what I was guessing.
Did she seem scared?
Not that I know of. I mean, she didn't,
What did you say to her when, you initiated trying to breed her?
I'm trying to get there again. You're saying,
did you force me? Did you force her onto the bed? Or did you hold her hands down? Does that make sense?
no. She laid down there. Then when I was down on the roller, that's when I noticed that, yeah, she's actually.
Okay.
What did you say to her when you walked into the house?
When I walked into the house, I said good evening. And then she said good evening to back to me. And then from there on, she didn't say anything.
Did she ask you why you were there?
She asked what I wanted.
What did you tell her?
I just told her what I was thinking. And she went back to her bedroom.
What was that? What were you thinking?
No, breathing.
You said, I want to breathe you.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So, not quite those same words, but yeah.
What did you say? Do you remember?
Well, it's in different language but it would mean the same thing, yeah.
So you spoke it
In my language, yeah.
Okay.
Good. And how long were you at her house before the breeding started?
No. Wasn't real long. I don't know, it was maybe a couple minutes.
Did you eat or drink anything? Good.
When did you decide that you were going to do this?
It was that evening.
Like when you guys were working on that greenhouse?
Yeah.
You decided then that you wanted to get over there?
But like I said, I didn't decide to kill her.
Yeah.
Which, I can't take it off that I didn't or anything because that's just what I did.
How long was the blanket over her head?
I don't know. I wouldn't know what time it was when I put it on.
And when you leave a while, did you leave any underwear behind?
Like your undergarments. I left mine there.
All right, the back and forth between the investigators and this young Amish man, and talking about what happened. John Day's watching along with us. We're just watching the Stearns case in Florida, where there was an issue with the defendant not asking for a lawyer, and they kept going. That ended up being thrown out. What's your take on the point in that interview that Julia was just talking about, where they are trying to explain to him, hey, this is going to be good for you if you tell us the truth, act like it's kind of like, you know,
confession. Confessional.
It's the only way to get to heaven, basically, is what they're saying. Is that going to be a problem?
Right. I think Julie's point is very well taken. I mean, the police are using that, posing essentially as this is a clergy communication with a parishioner or someone who is seeking, you know, religious supervision, religious guidance. Now, of course, he comes across as very intelligent. He comes across as very articulate. So it's going to be an interesting situation to say, well, you know, they were able to trick him into thinking he was talking in terms of talking to a clergy person, to someone who was a leader in the church, and that's somehow that shouldn't come in because he thought he was protected under, say, a privilege, a clergy privilege. It's an interesting point, but then again, when you listen to how he talks on the tape, he is very articulate. He's very intelligent. You don't get the sense that he is somehow incompetent to understand what's going on. So I think the defense, I think Julie's right, the defense will have a field day with it, but whether it crosses over into a court suppressing it, that remains to be seen.
You mentioned that he is articulate, and I'm thinking about some of the words they're having to explain to him, just because he is in the Amish community, so he's not understanding some of the words that are used by police. How much is his ignorance of, say, certain customs or rules? We know ignorance of the law is not a defense, but he may have a complete ignorance of just some of the mechanics here in this situation.
Right. Well, that's why this is so riveting. I mean, we're getting an insight into a world that most of us don't know anything about. We've only seen on movies or television shows. And so, you know, while he comes across, he's using English words. He's using, you know, words that show that he has a comprehension of what's going on around him. And he seems very intelligent. At the same time, the defense has got to delve into that and say, look, this is an entirely different world that we're getting into. This is something that most of us don't know anything about. And so in his mind, what he's saying to the police is very different than, say, someone who's, you know, Pennsylvania Dutch is not his first language, something like that. So that's what makes this so fascinating, to sort of get an insight into the mind of someone accused of murder who is talking to the police, making statements to the police, and the police are trying to get this confession out of him. But it's like, you know, Mars and Venus, two different worlds talking to each other. And whether the defense can make something of that, that's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, two different worlds, for sure, is how it seems like. John, stand by. We're going to get into more of this, and we're also going to see some body camera footage of the defendant being asked to give that DNA sample that they were asking him about, making sure he even understood what a Q-tip is. That's next.
All right, let's go back to Ohio. We've been watching highlights from a preliminary hearing. The defendant here, a guy by the name of Samuel Hochstetler, he faces multiple charges, felony charges including murder and rape and kidnapping, after he gave police a statement detailing how he allegedly killed the woman by the name of Rosanna Kinsinger. They were both Amish. She died while they were having sex.
And he walked away from that scene and didn't let anyone know what happened. Now, this hearing is focused on the defense's motion to suppress this statement that he gave to police, where he admits to breeding, aka sex with the victim, and also that he suffocated her. So we have been listening to that taped confession that was given to Lieutenant Tylen Campbell. Let's pick it up with Campbell's cross-examination.
First mention that God came from Samuel, correct?
Correct.
You know the Amish community to be people of faith, correct? Yes. And you know, the Amish people who believe in a concept of forgiveness, correct?
Yes.
Perhaps even more so than what we do in the, as they would call it, the English community. Is that fair to say?
Right. I'm not familiar with the Amish community in its entirety, but
okay. Sure. In the English community, as they would describe the community outside the Amish community, we don't always have a concept of forgiveness very strong, do we?
I don't know, sir.
I'm sorry?
I said I don't know.
And particularly in the court system, we don't forgive things. We prosecute, we get convictions, and we get punishment, correct?
Correct.
That's the way the criminal justice system works, correct?
Correct.
And well, you're not familiar with the Amish system, but they do have a stronger, your understanding from the investigation in this case, a stronger concept of forgiveness. If one confesses their sin and repents of their sin, correct?
Sure.
You learned that through the interrogation with Samuel, correct, or the interview, correct?
If that's how, I don't, ask the question again, I'm sorry.
So you learned that there was a concept of forgiveness among the Amish community, or within the Amish community, from your interviews of other people in this case, as well as the interview that you conducted of Samuel Hochstetler on May the 5th of 2025, correct?
From their perspectives, yes.
Yes, and that's what I was asking. From their perspective, you're aware that they have a greater concept of forgiveness if one repents of their sins, confesses their sins, and asks forgiveness, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. You asked him if he understood the concept of cooperation, right?
Did.
And he said, well, I think I do, correct?
Yes.
And you said something along the lines of, at about 6 minutes and 15 seconds into the recording, through about 6 minutes and 42 seconds into the recording, I don't want to relate it to church, but then you did relate it to church, correct?
Yes.
And what we're talking about when we're talking about it is the way things work in the criminal justice system, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And you said that you don't want to say in terms of paying for your sins, but you were drawing that parallel to the Amish concept of repentance and confession of sins to what occurs in the criminal justice system, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that we have a better outcome if you admit your sins in the Amish community. That was your understanding. You were sharing that understanding with him, correct?
Yes.
And you said that the parallel would be drawn to the criminal justice system as well. That if you admit your sins or admit your offenses or crimes, as we would term in the criminal justice system, that you get a better outcome. Is that fair to say that you said that?
Yes, in that type of context, yes.
Okay.
Well, not in that exact context, I guess. Yes.
Okay, but you were drawing a parallel between the Amish concept of confession, repentance, and asking for forgiveness, and having better outcomes in the criminal justice system if you admit your crimes, correct?
Yes.
How can you say you know or you believe him to have understood those rights when you didn't ask him to give an explanation of those rights to you so that you could confirm his understanding, and you know that he had been given inaccurate explanations of the rights, particularly in the context of, well, if you tell the truth, you'll be forgiven?
Sure. I believe I did ask him. I asked him if he understood each and every right. He verbally stated yes, and then I followed up with, if you make sure if you have any questions about these rights, to make sure you ask.
You didn't ask him to explain those rights back to you, did you?
I don't have to. No.
Well, you don't have to, but if you want to understand whether or not he understands them, don't you think that would be a good practice to follow?
I don't know.
Is this Dye Road?
Yes.
Okay. And there was a lag time in the audio. Is that common with
yes.
body cam? Okay. And do you know who's pictured here?
Oh, they're to the right here. I believe that's Enos.
Okay. And then eventually, do we see you?
We should. That's my vehicle to the left.
Okay. Okay, and who do we see now?
That is Deputy Spiker and myself.
Okay. And so, since Deputy Fletcher was there, would this be his body cam?
Yes, that
is
his
a
body
fair
cam.
and accurate copy of his body cam?
Yes.
And that's you in the red shirt?
Yes.
And is that Enos up there by the trailer?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and who do we see now?
That is Enos and Samuel.
Okay. Samuel is on the
right, in the gray.
Okay.
Samuel, how you doing? So we got a warrant for your DNA. Okay, so just get right back to you guys for office. And we'll talk today and stuff like that. All right, good. All right, just hop in there with them. I'll give you guys back to you ready? Let's put that back.
Okay, so is that the extent of that video?
Yes.
Was Mr. Hochstetler placed in handcuffs?
No, I wasn't.
Were you present when he got out of the vehicle?
I was at the sheriff's office, yes.
Okay, did you see him get out of the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, was he in handcuffs when he got out of the vehicle?
No, he wasn't.
At any time between this encounter and the conclusion of his interview, was he placed in handcuffs?
No, he was not.
And did you drive in front of the sheriff's cruiser or behind of it?
In front, I believe.
Okay. Was there a reason that you placed Mr. Hochstetler in the sheriff's cruiser as opposed to in your vehicle?
I don't let civilians in my vehicle.
I'm sorry.
I don't let civilians in my vehicle due to the nature of my work.
Thank you.
And at this point, was he in custody?
No.
Was he free to have told you that he did not want to go to the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Was there a reason why you took him to the sheriff's office to conduct the DNA swabbing as opposed to doing it at that place on Dye Road?
Yes, so we could also speak to Samuel.
All right, we're going to get a break. Coming up, defendant Samuel Hochstetler takes the stand. We'll watch as he testifies at this motion hearing next.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Tonight at 8/7 Central. Only on Court TV.
A wife accused of murdering her prominent attorney husband, and the defense involves blaming her own sons?
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. New episode Saturday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Only on Court TV. Before we get you back into the courtroom in that case in Ohio, quick update on the violent incident that led to former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez getting stabbed and arrested.
Yeah, Sanchez is now going to face at least one felony charge for his role in a drunken fight with a 69-year-old truck driver in Indianapolis. Now, during a press conference that happened this morning, prosecutors say that after seeing the extent of the victim's injuries, Sanchez's charges were upgraded from several misdemeanors to a level 5 felony battery charge.
Stabbing occurred around midnight on Sunday outside of Sanchez's hotel. Sanchez approached a delivery truck driver, started talking to him and then yelling at him. Apparently he was upset that this box truck had been parked in an alley, and surveillance video shows Sanchez running after this 69-year-old driver, and throwing the man against a wall, then onto the ground. The driver told police he thought Sanchez was going to kill him, so he pulled a knife out and stabbed Sanchez multiple times. Both men were hospitalized and released.
Well, we'll continue to keep you updated on all of the developments that come out of this case and the other trials that we are watching here on Court TV. For now, let's go back to Ohio. We've been highlighting an important motions hearing against the defendant Samuel Hochstetler. He admitted to police that he killed a victim in this case, Rosanna Kinsinger, and this happened during sex. Of course, he labeled that as breeding. He's part of an Amish community, has been his entire life, and he told authorities he didn't mean for it to go as far as it did. His defense team is trying to get that confession thrown out. So this is a motion to suppress hearing. Let's pick it up with that testimony.
Yes, I'm called Samuel Hochstetler.
Hey, come on up, Mr. Hochstetler. Before you step up there, please turn towards me and raise your right hand. Your right hand. There you go. That's right. Do you hereby swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I'll say the truth. I can't swear because the Bible don't let me, but I will say the truth.
That's fine. And that's why I say swear or affirm. So do you affirm that and promise you'll tell the truth?
I affirm.
Okay, then go ahead and have a seat.
You can move this as you need.
Okay. And for the record, all questioning is pursuant to our earlier conversation, David, that we limit to the discussion of the Miranda rights and what his understanding was to that, or his understanding as to whether or not he was in custody, as opposed to statements that he made, which may or may not have been incriminating.
And that was my understanding. Room is yours as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that, you ready to go?
All right. Samuel, please state your name loud and clear, first name and last name for the record.
Samuel Hochstetler.
You may need to be a little
Samuel Hochstetler.
You could even pull the microphone.
All right.
So you actually talk directly into that.
All right.
Yeah, real close.
Okay. And you've listened to the testimony that we've had today.
Yes.
From Lieutenant Campbell and Sergeant Tracy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were obviously present on May the 5th, 2025 out on Dye Road.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What were you doing on that day prior to the arrival of law enforcement?
Day before?
That day.
That day?
On May the 5th.
I was working on a building.
Arrival.
I was working on I was either doing the outside of the building or doing something that everybody was supposed to putting lumber on it.
Okay, you still might want to pull that a little closer to your mouth.
And speak up.
Directly into it and speak.
Yes.
Speak
Just
loud.
project your voice like you're yelling at somebody at a work site.
And pretend I'm in the back corner of the room. Okay? Say okay in that manner.
Okay.
That's better.
That's better, thank you. All right, and when they arrived, how were you made aware of their presence?
Enos made a motion me to come over there towards him when he was up there by the trailer.
And what did you do at that point?
I walked over to him.
When you walked over there, who did you see, if you know?
Seen Enos there and the cops. I didn't know who it was.
Okay, how many law enforcement officers were there?
There were two, was vests on, and then one of the detectives.
Okay, so when you say there were two with vests on, are you speaking of deputies being in uniform?
Yes.
And then one detective, and how would you know that they were a detective as opposed to a uniformed officer?
Well, he had talked to me before, and I almost knew I had seen him before. I wasn't quite sure, but I thought that's who it was.
Okay, when you say him before, have you seen him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And who was that?
Not Lieutenant.
We've had Lieutenant Campbell and Sergeant.
It was Sergeant Tracy.
Sergeant Tracy?
Yes.
And in the video that we saw, a minute and a half or whatever it was when they came, and on May the 5th, which one was Sergeant Tracy?
The one in the red shirt.
The one in the red shirt?
Yes.
And when you approached him, what, if anything, did he say to you?
Somebody asked me how I was doing. One of them, I can't remember which one, and then he said they had a warrant for my search warrant or warrant for my DNA.
Okay, say that again, only louder. What did they tell you in your election?
He said that they had a search warrant, either set a warrant or a search warrant for my DNA.
Okay, when you say they said a warrant or a search warrant, were you able to hear the video when it was played?
Yes.
What in fact was said, not based on your record?
He said a warrant.
Today, a warrant?
Yes, for my DNA.
For your DNA?
Yes.
Okay. What else, if anything, did he say to you?
He asked if I would go with him in a cruiser to go to the police station.
What was your understanding of the purpose for going to the sheriff's office or the police station, as you described it?
DNA. I didn't know what it was.
You didn't know what was. What was?
He said they want to do a swap for DNA, so I didn't know what he was going to do, what he needed.
Did you know what DNA was or what a DNA swap process would be?
No.
Was that ever explained to you before arriving at the sheriff's office?
No.
Was it explained to you upon your arrival at the sheriff's office?
After we was up in the room, he said they're going to take these Q-tips and swap me. That's the only time.
Okay, but I'm speaking of when you first arrived at the sheriff's office. Was it explained to you what the process for the DNA swabbing would be?
No.
John Day still with us. There's a lot of back and forth with, do you understand this? No. Do you understand that? No. Is the defense making any headway here with their overall goal of getting this thrown out?
Well, they're doing what they have to do, and they're doing the best they can, but it's a tough one because, again, the defendant is articulate. The defendant seems intelligent, and for the defense to cross that threshold, they're going to have to convince this judge that the defendant was hoodwinked, was scammed into thinking that by talking to law enforcement, it was the equivalent of a religious confession or a religious encounter with clergy, for example. And that's going to be a tough threshold. And it's going to be very difficult for the defense to do what they're trying to do, but that's what they have to try.
What do you think about this statement, John, that he made during his confession? We don't know if it's going to be in or out, but he said, I wasn't in my right mind. I don't even remember exactly how she died. He admits to the suffocation, but he says it a couple of times. I wasn't in my right mind. Do you think that that's an avenue here for the defense if they can't keep this confession out?
Well, it cuts both ways because it shows some comprehension of what's a right mind and what's not a right mind. And so if you're the prosecution, you can pounce on that and say, well, what are you trying to say here? What's your point? But of course, the defense has to use what they've got to try to save this defendant. And by having him say, oh, well, I wasn't that my right. I know the difference between my right mind and what's not my right mind. And in this case, I wasn't in my right mind. But at the same time, he's able to articulate the facts that led up to the suffocation, to the act of what he calls breeding. So, I mean, again, it's riveting testimony. It's riveting evidence from his statement to police. Whether it has the effect of saving him, of getting this statement thrown out, in the final analysis, this is going to be fascinating to see where it goes.
Absolutely. John Day, as always, thank you for your valuable time on this Monday as we kick off another busy week here at Court TV. We'll get a break. When we come back, more from the defendant in this pretrial hearing for Samuel Hochstetler.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae along with Ted Rollins, and we are following this case out of Ohio this afternoon. This is a motion to suppress hearing in the sex and murder in Amish Country case, and the defendant is an 18-year-old, Samuel Hochstetler.
Yeah, he's accused of kidnapping, raping, and then killing a 28-year-old woman by the name of Rosanna Kinsinger. She's also Amish. This happened in March of this year. Prosecutors say the pair worked together on this farm, and that Hochstetler later admitted to laying a blanket or sheet over Kinsinger's head while they were having sex, or as he put it, breeding. He denied that he forced himself on her.
Yeah, he said that she did not say no to him or turn away from him, and his understanding was that was not forced. Let's get back into the courtroom now, though. The defense wants to throw out his confession to police, and they have him on the stand testifying during this pretrial hearing. Let's pick it up where we left off.
How is it that you got into the seat in which you rode to the sheriff's office?
One of them opened the door and motioned me to go sit there, and then they closed it.
Be as specific as you can. One of them being one of whom?
One of the ones was the vessel that drove the vehicle.
One of the uniformed deputies?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Again,
The other one had already left back towards this vehicle.
the other one being again, Sergeant Tracy?
Sergeant Tracy, yes.
Okay. So when you got in the vehicle, how was the door open?
When I got back out?
No, when you got in.
One of the police officers in the vest, sheriffs, opened the door, and then I went in. He motioned me to go in, and then I sat on the seat, and then one of them closed it again.
Okay, so you didn't close the door?
No, I didn't touch the door.
Try to open it at any point in time?
No, I didn't touch anything.
Okay. And then what happened next?
They started driving, went in their seats, and then they started driving down the road.
Okay. What was your understanding in terms of your purpose for going to the sheriff's office and how long you might be there, if you had any understanding at all about that?
All I knew was they wanted to do DNA, and I didn't know. I just figured I'd be back just in a couple minutes. I didn't know.
Okay. Do you have a driver's license?
No.
Have you had any interaction with law enforcement prior to this day?
Only the closest I've been as law enforcement is maybe walk by him, or one of our drivers got pulled over once, and I heard him talk, but I've never had a reaction like me and them.
Okay, when you say one of your drivers, what do you mean one of your drivers? Is that an Amish person?
No.
English person, or?
It's an English driver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone not in the Amish community or in the Amish community?
Not in the Amish community. He just drives for the Amish.
On this day, was there a vehicle available to you to drive?
No.
And if you did have a vehicle, would you have been able to drive it?
No, it was without a driver's license.
Okay. Did anyone follow you to the station in a vehicle, whether a driver or an English driver or an Amish person in a vehicle to take you home?
No.
What was your understanding of how you would get home if you were to be taken home?
I just expected they would take me back.
And when did you expect that to happen? After what occurrence?
I thought we was doing DNA, and it'd be right after that.
Okay. So when you got to the sheriff's office, how is it that you exited the back seat of the vehicle?
The one on the passenger side opened the door for me, and then he said I can get out and go over to that door on the front.
Okay. Did you know where you were to go at that point in time?
I did not know where we were. I didn't even know what part of town we were.
What did you do next?
I did what he said and just went to that door.
And you went to that door, am I understanding, because he directed you to that door?
Yes, I had no clue where we was going.
Was anyone at that door when you got to that door?
Not that I can recall.
And were either of those deputies in front of you or behind you as you walked to the door?
They were behind me.
As you got to the door, how was the door open?
If I remember right, I don't for sure remember. I think one of them opened it, or they told me to open it.
But you don't remember whether you did or whether they did?
No, not on that one, no.
But you're sure that they told you to, or they opened it?
They either opened it or they told me to open it.
Okay. And once the door was open, what did you do?
They would ask me to step inside.
Where did you go once you were inside?
There's a chair on the left. When you go right inside the door, there's a chair on the left. I just stood there.
Did they tell you where to sit or just to sit?
I think he said on the side towards the door.
On the side towards the door?
He didn't say it on the side towards the door, but he pointed to that chair.
Okay. And then where did they go? Where did they sit?
So we came in the door, and then I sat here, Lieutenant Campbell here, and Sergeant Tracy were on that end.
And what was your belief or your understanding of what was going to take place once you got up to that room at that point?
I thought we was going to do DNA. I started looking around the room, and I didn't know what they're going to do because I didn't see anything, kind of machines or anything.
And what, in fact, did happen once you got into the room?
The first thing was they started asking questions.
What type of questions did they ask you?
They wanted to know if I had an ID or a social security or something like that, and I didn't.
And how did that make you feel? What were you thinking at that point in time?
I didn't know why they needed that stuff for a DNA. I couldn't understand.
Okay, did you provide them anything in response to that request?
I gave them my hunting numbers.
I'm sorry?
My hunting numbers.
Your hunting numbers?
Yes, that's all I had.
Numbers.
I don't even know them. I just had them on my paper. They're in my wallet.
What numbers are they, but what is that?
It's a number that the Game Commission goes by, I guess, so they can look you up. Like, they can see if I bought a license or if I didn't for hunting.
Okay, so it's fair to say it's kind of like having a license for hunting purposes?
No, it's basically like identification so they can see what I got and what I didn't get.
Okay.
But it's not ID, not a real ID like you all would have.
All right, then what happened next once they had inquired about any identification that you may or may not have possessed at that point?
They just started asking questions.
And what types of questions do you recall them asking you?
They were just asking about kind of what I know about it and.
Be specific. What you know about what?
All right. So they started asking questions about what I know about Rosanna's death and.
Don't give me what any of your responses were.
Right.
In terms of what their questions were is what I'm asking.
Sure. So they were asking me questions about her death, if I know what happened or how it went or stuff like that, and how it would have felt if it was on purpose or not on purpose or stuff like that.
Okay. And at some point in time, were you ever swabbed for DNA?
After almost an hour later. After they were. I didn't know what DNA this was. I didn't know what we're doing for DNA.
Based on the questions they were asking you, and the fact that, well, again, what was your understanding about the reason you were taking there?
To do DNA.
To do DNA?
Yes.
Okay. And based on the questions they were asking, how did you feel? What were you thinking during that interim between your arrival and the hour later when they swabbed you for DNA?
I knew they wanted something. I didn't know what. I knew they was trying to make me say something that I didn't want to say, and I didn't know what.
Okay. What was your thinking in terms of whether or not you had or would have permission to leave if you chose to?
I never knew that I had permission to leave. They never said I was free to go anytime.
What was your thinking in terms of whether or not you would have permission to leave at any point in time?
Well, I had a thought of leaving, but I didn't think it would be any better because I knew there was 2 cops down there by the door, the only door I knew to exit. I knew I wouldn't make it past them. They had guns on them, everything. I didn't want to get shot and didn't want to get tased.
So did you think you would be permitted to leave or not permitted to leave?
I didn't know I had permission to leave.
There came a point in time when you were presented with what has been termed as your Miranda rights. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And can you describe how that occurred to the best of your recollection? How did that get initiated and why, if you know?
How I understood it?
How that got to be initiated, or why, or when did it become initiated?
After they decided I must be a suspect or something, they read that to me.
Okay. Did they read it to you, or did you read it yourself?
I read a little bit, and then they read a little bit too.
Okay.
I think they read most of it to me.
Did you have questions about what each item meant?
When I first seen them, I had no idea what it is. I didn't know what it was, what it meant.
Had you ever heard of a person's Miranda rights prior to that moment in time?
No, I didn't know.
Had any, well, I already asked a question about whether you had any prior law enforcement contact. You described it maybe during a traffic stop. Is it through?
Oh, the Miranda?
Yeah. Is that through?
Yep. Swear out.
I think it's right. Yeah.
You have a bigger chip, you need a chip.
Okay. Do you recognize what is on the screen before you, Samuel?
Yes.
And what do you understand that to be?
What they call Miranda rights.
And you can read the English language, correct?
Yes.
What does it say in bold print in the a couple inches from the top in the center of the form?
Advice of rights. Is that what?
Well, above that, the bold words above that, in the section above that.
I don't know. He's pointing to ask me. Maybe take the mouse
there.
Or
no. In the center of the page.
That's
right there.
He just said what it said, but go ahead. Tell him again.
Advice of rights.
Okay. And what's listed below there, they're numbered 1 through 5 with your initials to the left of there. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what is your understanding of what those things numbered 1 through 5 are?
When they read it to me or now?
Of what they are, not what they mean.
I guess rights.
What do you believe them to be?
The rights that I was supposed to have.
As a what?
As a suspect, I guess, yeah.
Okay. And you feel that you have an understanding of what those rights mean as you sit here today?
Yes.
Do you have the same understanding as you sit here today as you did at the end of the session with Sergeant Tracy and Lieutenant Campbell of what those rights meant?
No.
Why do you have a different understanding today than you had at that point in time back on May the 5th?
Because of you and being around other inmates that educated me.
Educated you in the sense that what?
Of what my rights were. You told me what the rights are.
And other inmates?
And they told me what the rights are and to stand for my rights.
And how would you say your understanding of what those rights meant on May the 5th differ from what you understand today? What was your understanding of those rights on May the 5th?
On May the 5th, I was going home that evening. I had never expected to be where I am now.
Direct examination, that's the defense asking the questions because this is their motion hearing. We'll get a break, we'll get the cross, see how prosecutors handle this. It was a good ending there where he said, never would have thought I'd be in this position.
And doesn't understand Miranda, and he actually has a case in that argument. We'll be back.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a hit and run at 70 miles per hour leaves 2 teenagers dead. We'll dive deeper into the tragic details and the suspect's ties to local police.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
These are the cases that captivated the world.
Can keep my life straight. They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves. Court TV, Legendary Trials.
.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for following along with us as we watch together this motion to suppress a statement hearing. It's a pretrial hearing for an Amish man who's accused of raping and killing a woman that he worked with.
Prosecutors said that 18-year-old Samuel Hochstetler admitted to laying a sheet or a blanket over 28-year-old Rosanna Kinsinger while they were having sex. He ultimately admitted to killing her.
Yeah, he says it was a suffocation, but his defense team is trying to get that statement where he said suffocation thrown out. The prosecution, they've charged Hochstetler with kidnapping, rape, and murder in the woman's death. Let's go back into the courtroom where Hochstetler is on the stand now, testifying to how he thought if he admitted to the murder that he would be granted forgiveness and be allowed to go home.
Can you read that, number one?
I have the right to remain silent.
What did that mean to you on May the 5th?
I didn't have to say anything.
Okay. And then as far as number two?
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Okay. Now, we listened today, you had some questions about that particular one.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And what were those questions? What did you or did you not understand about that particular right on May the 5th?
I didn't know what a court was, and I didn't know what it meant by getting used against me on a court of law or anything.
Okay. And in the explanations that we heard given today, through the playing of, what was it, State's Exhibit 2 and 3, or no, 1 and 2, and through the testimony of particularly Lieutenant Campbell and Sergeant Tracy, is your understanding different today because of what I told you or because of what other inmates told you than from what Lieutenant Campbell and Sergeant Tracy told you?
It is different from what Lieutenant and Campbell and Sergeant Tracy has told me is what I know now.
Okay. What did you believe was going to happen that day at any point in time when they would have ceased questioning you? At that time, what did you believe would happen?
I thought we was going to go see a judge, and I was going to have to tell him what I did. And
why did you believe you were going to see a judge?
That's what he told me.
That's what who told you?
Lieutenant Campbell.
Okay. And what did he tell you you would need to do before the judge?
Tell him what I do and what I did, and then the judge. That's what the judge would forgive me for.
Okay. So, what did you think the judge would do if you told them certain things? And again, I'm not asking you what you said at any point in time, but what did you think if you went before a judge and you made certain statements, what did you think would happen?
I thought I was going to be forgiven by the judge and go home. That's what I thought.
Did you appear before a judge that day?
No.
Were you forgiven and did you go home that day?
No. And I'm still not.
What led you to believe that you would go before a judge and be forgiven and be able to go home?
I have always believed and trusted in the authorities, but now I don't.
You had indicated earlier that you thought of leaving the sheriff's office, but you didn't want to leave because you thought you might get tased. Is that correct?
That was just one thing that I knew that if they want to catch me, that I would.
How do you know about a taser?
Because I know that's what cops carry.
How do you know that?
I knew they carried tasers and guns.
Okay, but how did you come to learn that?
Just was the other people what they tell me about them.
When was this?
Somewhere in Kentucky.
Okay.
It didn't come from cops.
Okay. So did you have contact with law enforcement officers in Kentucky?
That's where I was when my driver got pulled over while we was going on a trip.
Okay. Did the officer talk to you at that time?
Not to me.
Okay.
Just to the driver.
Okay. As it relates to this case, though, you did have contact with law enforcement officers before May 5th, correct?
Detectives.
Right.
That's the only. I just talked to him maybe, I don't know, 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
Okay. And you knew that they had questions regarding the circumstances surrounding Rosanna's death?
That's what all they asked me was if I know anything about it.
Okay. And isn't that essentially what they were asking you on May 5th?
Not just that. They asked me further questions.
At the beginning of the conversation, that's essentially what...
That's what they started out with, yes.
Sure. So you weren't surprised because you'd already been through that, correct?
What did they ask me?
You weren't surprised, yes or no?
I was surprised that they're asking me questions about that. I thought we was doing DNA, that's all. I didn't know that was what we was gonna have for DNA.
Sure. Okay, and just so we're all clear, you do understand English perfectly fine, correct?
I think for the most part.
Okay. And
every now and then I have a little question with some of the big words.
Sure. I don't use big words usually. So if you don't understand something I'm saying or how I'm saying something, just let me know and I'll rephrase it, okay?
Yes.
Have you heard anything today that you didn't understand?
I don't think so.
Okay. When law enforcement showed up on Dye Road, did you tell them that you did not want to give your DNA?
No, I didn't know better.
Okay. At any time, did you tell them that you didn't want to give your DNA?
No.
Okay. When you were placed in the cruiser, did you tell them that you did not want to get into the cruiser?
No, I didn't know better.
Okay. Did you tell them that you wanted out of the cruiser?
No.
When you got to the sheriff's office, did you tell law enforcement officers that you did not want to go to the sheriff's office?
No.
When you were in the sheriff's office, did you tell them that you wanted to leave?
No. I didn't know I could.
When law enforcement was on Dye Road, they did not place you in handcuffs, correct?
No.
And they did not place you in handcuffs while you're in the cruiser?
No.
And before the interview, you were not placed in handcuffs, correct?
No.
When you had indicated during the interview or at some point when you're at the sheriff's office that you thought of leaving, did you tell anybody that?
No.
You understood most of what Lieutenant Campbell and Sergeant Tracy were telling you that day, correct?
The way they explained it, I did understand it, but not to what the rights meant.
You say you did or did not?
I did to the way they explained it, but not to what the rights meant, what the rights stand for.
Okay, so everything that they told you on that day about those rights, you understood at that time?
At that time, how they related it to me.
But you're just saying that?
I understand them now the way that they're actually supposed to be understood.
Okay, based upon what your attorney told you?
That and the inmates, yes.
Okay. You think that's different from what?
It's way different, yes.
But they told you you have the right to remain silent, correct?
Right, but I didn't know what that right was, how valuable that right was, and what it really meant.
Okay.
On the May 5th.
Okay. Regardless of how valuable in your mind you thought that right was, you knew that you had that right not to say a single word, correct?
Yes, but I didn't know why not to talk.
Okay. Well, you decided to talk because you thought it was the right thing to do, right?
Yes, that's out of respect, yes.
Sure. But it does not negate the fact that they told you that right, you read that right, and you signed off on that right, correct?
Yes.
And throughout the process, when they were reading your rights and you were reading the rights yourself, you did have some questions, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you didn't ask them about remaining silent as far as the value of that right, correct?
Well, I knew what it meant to be silent. I knew it meant not to talk.
Okay.
But I didn't understand it the way I should have.
And you agree that these are your rights, these 5 enumerated rights, these are your rights?
Yes.
Okay. You're not trying to say that you have rights for further explanation of these, right?
No, I have these 5 rights is what I agree to.
Right, okay.
Okay, that cross-examination of the defendant, it basically wrapped up the hearing for Samuel Hochstetler, and the judge in real time has yet to rule on whether or not to allow his confession in during this trial that is ahead in the future for this case.
Yeah, he's going to, or the judge, she is going to share her ruling later, and they're going to submit basically closing arguments, written closing arguments at the end of the month. October 22nd is the deadline for that, and then the defense will find out. It's going to be a vastly different case if that confession does not come in. Let's bring in our guest for the hour. Alexis Rosenberg is a trial attorney. She's in Sarasota, Florida. What's your take on this Amish case?
Ted, isn't this so interesting? I can't remember the last time we had a trial having to do with the Amish community. So my take is this is a very interesting argument to say that he did not understand the Miranda, and I'm sure, you know, some other factors. Although on the cross-examination, getting into you understood you had the right to be silent, I think was extremely important.
Oh yeah, there have been situations, Alexis, where we've had judges look at cases where there's maybe been a line missing in the Miranda warnings given to someone, and the judge finds that it's harmless because most people know the Miranda rights generally, even if some small part is missed. But here, I think this individual could make the argument that he didn't know anything about Miranda beforehand. He didn't really understand his rights. Do you think the fact that he's living in this community that really tries to separate themselves from the rest of society, that he has more of an argument than the average person?
Oh, definitely. I think it is a strong argument to be made that he did not understand, because the whole premise of that community is to separate themselves out, and he wasn't aware of these things. He came across as a very credible witness as well. He doesn't come across as extremely educated either, or understanding normal things as to what was being taken place. Although I do think one of the things of getting into that he thought he was going to confess and then just be forgiven isn't necessarily going in his favor, but having to do with this particular argument his attorney's making as to whether Miranda was appropriately administered or not, they made a good argument.
So would the solution, I guess, well, should the protocol be that in a case like this you have some sort of liaison between the community that is being dealt with through a potential defendant?
Like an interpreter.
Yeah,
almost
like bring in a person that's familiar with the Amish community and say, all right, here's the deal, dude. Don't confess, because out here, they don't just let you go back to work. It's a different ball game. And it's like, to your point, it's fascinating. I don't know of any other sort of classes of individuals that live in the United States that obviously are subjected to the laws of the land that are in this particular sort of situation. Because, you know, we know Miranda rights, whether you watch court TV or not, you've heard it a gazillion times. You have the right to remain silent if you watch anything on television or here and there. This guy didn't have that.
Right, the police don't have an obligation to have any sort of liaison, as you're talking about. That would have been him asking for counsel, but we're saying he didn't understand he had that right. I mean, this is kind of a tricky thing, because then we could also balance it with somebody who maybe has a lower IQ in general, regardless of the fact that they aren't Amish. I mean, where is that breaking line as to where you have the ability to comprehend, you are competent to stand trial, but you didn't understand Miranda? This is extremely fascinating. It'll be interesting to see what the judge does.
You know, Ted, what I want to know is what happened at his last community before he transplanted to this one in Ohio. He was from Kentucky. We understand that when certain things that we would see as crimes are committed inside of the community, that they deal with it internally and there is forgiveness given. But if there's something else in the background, perhaps, and could have even been a reason.
Oh, if he did something similar in the Kentucky community and they said, well, you've admitted it, we're just going to ask you to leave and go to Ohio, that would be absolutely germane to this case.
I would want to know about it, but, you know, there's probably a limitation on records and what they can find.